Hi folks, I'm Don Meissner, and this year we want to bring you some video shorts of times that I go fishing where I can explain some of the things that work or don't work, some of the places I go. And I got to tell you, through the entire winter, all I could think about was the beginning of pike season. Now along the St. Lawrence River, walleyes and bass reign supreme, and not too many people target northern pike, but I love them. And so I want to show you some of the action that took place a couple days ago, the second day of pike season, in one of the fingers of the St. Lawrence River is right behind me, but one of the fingers, the bays that come in between Meissner and Waddington. Now, this is a place that I've fished for 3 decades, and it's been one of my favorite pike places. But I got to tell you, over the last couple of years, the pike haven't been in there the same. But it's different this year. The water on the St. Lawrence River is so high that it has increased the depth and the amount of water back in these bays. And I think that might bring the northern pike in and give them a chance to spawn. So with that explanation to you, I got to tell you, nothing is ever the way we expect it. I had fished the day before and I caught a few really nice pike on a lure that I couldn't even get one to look at this day. So join me now and we'll show you some of the wonderful action that you can have in our area, the St. Lawrence River. Well, it's the second day of pike season. My favorite thing in the world to do, I guess, because it's that time of the year when I haven't been able to do anything. And I've hooked a fish. It's a northern, and it's not a bad one. We've already been down in this area once, and we didn't get anything. And I thought, maybe they're here and they're just not hitting. And so I put this. This is actually a Lucky Craft suspended jerkbait. And it was almost, I think, my second cast with this. Now, come on, roll the other way. The treble hooks are what get me. And honestly, that's a nice fish. Now I'm going to have to get pliers to get the hook out of here. But at least you've seen the results of, normally we have our certain favorite lures. And I have a lure that works phenomenal for me. But I didn't get a strike our first cast down through here, so I changed. But I hate using trebles. So we'll see if I can get this out, and then we'll throw him back. Well, I'll tell you what. The neat thing is, ooh, what have I got? What have I got? It's a great big smallmouth bass. I thought I had a pike. And it's not even
foul hooked,
it's not even hooked in a nice way. For all you folks, you're gonna think,
oh, one of the hooks is in the mouth though.
Yeah,
that back hook is.
That's the real pleasure of using a lure with treble hooks. One of the amazing things though, and I want to show you how these baits are intended to be used. I think that fish hit, and I must have missed him, and he got caught as he tried to get away or something. Well, it looks like I might be lucky enough if I can get him over. Fortunately, with water cold, they don't have as much fight. But boy, help if I get over these. There's one hook out. Let's see what I can do with the other one. Buddy, I'm going to let you go. Probably might be a big female, but the body's pretty thick on this fish. If I can get this other hook removed. Boy, you hate to see a hook around the gills. Now, when I put my finger in here, I'm on the outside of the gills. I might be able to get this out now, I'm hoping, without hurting this fish. Boy, if I never use a treble hook again, It won't be too soon. There. I got that out. Now this other one got caught in it. There. That's a big fish. It's not hurt. Its gills weren't hampered. I'll put that back and swim away. Now, I want to show you something though with these suspended jerk baits. And in cold water, these can really, really be a good thing to use. And here's how I use it. Cast it out. It's going to dive down slowly to a certain point, but once it gets there, it suspends. And so then what I do is when it's suspended, just work the rod tip ever so slowly back and forth, because if these fish are slow, if they're cold water, they're not going to want to chase. And so they can look at it, and if you're jerking it like this, it just darts from side to side in front of their face, and sometimes they can't resist that. So that's how I fish this. This is what I've been dreaming for, dreaming for all winter long. Now to catch a big bunch of weeds like that, it made my fish so much bigger of the weeds. What I did was I put a spinnerbait on for two reasons. Number one, it's got one hook, and it disappoints me when these treble hooks get in these fish. At least with a single hook, I can get the hook back out. If you are ever going to keep and eat northern pike, this is the time to do it. That meat is so cold and firm, and it's beautiful fish. You can see no marks at all on this fish. We're going to put him back. But what I decided to do was to use a spinnerbait. And you know, when all else fails, spinnerbaits can work awfully well. Number one, they're giving off a flash, but they also make a sound. And one other tip is if you're fishing for northern pike, you really do need a wire leader. I know people think the fish see it and they won't strike, but I'll tell you what, we catch an awful lot of fish, even bass and other fish. Even in the summertime, when the water's clear, we catch a lot of fish using wire leaders and catching bass that you'd swear would be too smart to hit them. Anyway, I'm going to cast this out again. I like the willow leaves. That's the other thing. This has got two willow leaf blades. One is gold and one is copper. And they spin slower than a fatter Colorado blade. So they're making a different sound. They give off a different flash. And I've always done really well for northern pike using these willow leaf blades. With a spinnerbait, you just cast it out. Try to hold the rod tip in a way that you can keep it above the weeds. And that's the spinnerbait does it all. The spinnerbait makes the flash, makes the sound. All you got to do is reel it in. Holy cow! Holy cow! This is amazing. Cast over. We saw a swirl. This is a big pike. I didn't know. I thought it looked like a little bass that had come out. Missed it the first time. That is a big pike right there. It's a beauty. It has a cut on its side, I notice. It's bleeding. It looks like it's bleeding. And my lure isn't in its gills. This is a big fish. Almost too big for me to grab like this. Oh my God, that's a big fish. You know what? I'm not going to be able to hold it like that. I might be able to. I'm going to have my buddy Rust, who's got the camera going at the same moment here. This is absolutely foolhardy on my part. Have my hands where they. You were doing good there for a minute, Rust. Okay. The hook is back here. Oh, where my hand is. Oh, I don't like doing this.
I'm gonna turn the
Really?
video off. Maybe. Oh, good.
The secret is, right now, get this out and somehow get my hand out of this fish's gill plate. Wow. That was a big fish. You know, I wanted to set this up a little bit. I like to bring you some of this video of when I go fishing. So when I talk about different techniques, different things that I do, it's May 2nd. The first day of pike season was yesterday. We are fishing in a little inlet from the St. Lawrence River that comes in. The road is right behind me. This is available for anybody to come in here fishing. This isn't private water. And there's so many choices that I try to make. This year the water level is so much higher than I've ever seen it before. This area of water that we're fishing is normally half this wide, but the water has gone way back into the woodsy shoreline, and I think there's a lot of fish that move in here to spawn and that also are laying under the cattails right now. So the choices. I have a spinnerbait on right now, which seems to me was a good choice. But even when you do that, you have to choose the colors that you think might make sense. Now, I like the yellow color on this and the orange head. In the spring, for some reason, orange is a deadly color, and I thought the yellow would be kind of like some of the colors that perch would have on them if the fish were feeding on them. So, but there's so many choices to make. I'm lucky to be fishing today with my buddy Russ, who has this canoe. I would wade this area, but the water's too deep to wade. So we've now caught 2 or 3, I guess 3 pike. We've had a couple bass that this time of the year, even though bass season doesn't begin for another month, it's pretty almost impossible fishing waters like this to not have the potential of catching several species, and then unfortunately also bass. We've been very careful if we do hook a bass to get it back in the water. But you know, I've thought recently about these different fish, and I think that in our country, bass are the glamour fish. They're the fish that most people hope to be able to catch, to aspire to even fish competitively for bass. Then there's a whole nother group that trout is their angel that they go after. And northern pike and even muskies don't get the credit, don't get the following that some of these other fish do. But believe me, they're a special breed of fish, and they play a big role in my heart. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can catch another one of these big northerns that have come in here to spawn.